Hey, what's going on, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Bucks get the victory in Boston, 110-107, Game 5 of the Western Conference semifinals, Eastern Conference semifinals, Eastern. Um, as I told you guys, if you watch my pregame video, you know how I tend to have these ideas about things, and I told you that Budenholzer only played Bobby Portis 15 minutes in the previous game, didn't play him in the fourth quarter. He was going to have a big game tonight, and he did. I think he was at like 15 boards, like the 18 points. Forgive me my numbers, you know how that goes. But what I can tell you is, as a team, the Bucks had 17 offensive rebounds. That right there tells you all you need to know. They controlled the glass, and even though the Boston Celtics shot very well from within field goal range, because the three is a whole nother story, but they were 51% from the field. They still weren't able to really do much because they just could not keep Boston off the glass to save their lives. And it really did come down to a couple good plays, a couple hardcore defensive plays by Jrue Holiday and big shots by guys like Giannis and Bobby Portis with the offensive glass. It was an amazing game to watch, especially that fourth quarter was thrilling. But you got to give credit to Al Horford once again. Even though he didn't have that kind of game from a statistical standpoint, he had a couple of huge plays, including a offensive rebound jam that ignited the team quite a bit. I started having real link issues with this game in the fourth quarter. I didn't get to see that last offensive rebound by Bobby Portis because Link just cut off. And so I did have some issues in terms of being able to see this game as a whole, but I tried my best to watch it. It was fun what I did see. And Derek White played very well. You want to see more out of Grant Williams offensively, but defensively he was excellent. Jaylen Brown was huge out there, giving him a lot of scoring, 24 points I believe he had. But ultimately, they couldn't overcome Giannis. Giannis had 40 points, y'all. 40 points, continued to press the issue, just like I said he would. Take it to Al Horford, be motivated by what happened in the previous game, just like I said he would. And, he did exactly what I expected to see. Him force the issue. He was much more efficient tonight, and he hit his free throws down the stretch. Had a little shiner above his eye that kept bleeding. It was a real physical game tonight. Jrue Holiday was just excellent defensively. Offensively, his shooting woes continued, which does concern me for the next game because he shot poorly in these two games. But ultimately, his momentum defensively won the game. It literally won the game. And it was some statements made down the stretch of that basketball game. Because we know two of the best defensive guards in the league are Marcus Smart, who just won Defensive Player of the Year, and Jrue Holiday, who happens to win the championship last year. And of course, those two are going at it tonight. And the two plays that Jrue Holiday got were defensive plays against Marcus Smart. So, the psychological battle between these two teams is real. Now, let's get to what I think the Boston Celtics' real issue is right now. Jayson Tatum. Homie jacked up like damn near 30 shots and only hit like 12 of them. All of the shots that he missed, and I looked at the shot chart, all of the shots that he missed were jump shots. Only 3 of them, I believe, 2 or 3 of them were in the paint. The rest were jumpers from 20 feet and beyond. Mostly threes, bricks, 2 of 11. They can't overcome that, Jay. They cannot overcome that. First of all, you're shooting too much, man. There's not enough parity there. You look at a guy like Daniel Theis. He should have been on the floor more. He was 5 for 5 tonight. When you call his number, Ime Udoka, and the guy goes that hot, he needs to get back on the floor. I am a firm believer in play the hot hand. You kept Derek White out there. He was 4 for 5. You gave him 31 minutes. Theis was 5 for 5. You only gave him 10 minutes. That's where you lost. Some of them Jayson Tatum possessions should have been Daniel Theis shots. Simple as that. Should have been Jaylen Brown shots. I know that Grant Williams was 0 for 3. I want to see him shoot more. I do. Even though he's 0 for 3, he's been shooting well in this series. You need some point production from him since he's on the floor so much. That's what I say about guys like Matisse Thybulle and Grant Williams and the big-time defensive players. They must understand that their defense is great, but if you're not adding to the score, you're only doing half of the job. You know what I mean? You're only doing but so much. Because at the end of the day, your defense is still going to get scored on by great offense. And if you cannot make up the difference for what you're not putting up there, your defense isn't going to make up for that either. If you can't get a couple layups, a couple free throws, you're not going to do as much defensively as you're taking away from your team when they're playing 4-on-5 offensively. So you saw some of that going on down there. Even though Grant Williams was excellent, you can't have him go 0 for 3 and have him out there all night long. That really does work against you in the long run. So yeah, that's what I saw. I mean, like, I'm not going to sit up here and say that the Bucks were very efficient. If you look at some of their bench players, they didn't take it on the road. Celtics had the lead for a good portion of the game too, but ultimately the Celtics just could not box out the fresh legs of Bobby Portis, and they could not get the ball to a closer down the stretch. See, that's the thing. When you have a guy like Jason Tatum going 0 for a million, you don't trust him to close. So now you're putting the ball in Marcus Smart's hand. Marcus Smart had played well. He was shooting well, but he's not an offensive player to begin with necessarily. His offensive game is good, but it ain't that level. And in that situation, Game 5, on your home court down the stretch, you got a hyper great defensive player going up against a good offensive player, and he exposed him. He blocked his shot down the stretch and then stole the ball from him at the end. It was like, you know what I mean? That should have been Jaylen Brown. That should have been Derek White. That should have been Jason Tatum. But, you know, Boston Celtics, that's the one thing that you have to critique about the Boston Celtics. They don't have a clear-cut closer. You know, there's too many chiefs and no clear-cut chief. Because even though Jason Tatum is by name, you actually watching him play, nah, he's not there yet. He has a lot of growth that needs to take place from this very moment. And it starts with him getting in his mind what exactly is going to help him win and how can he help his team win. Your possessions, and I say this in just about every time I get a chance to, I say this. Your possessions are to be taken very seriously. I see Luka Doncic, various players, all of them, everybody. I'm not going to single out anyone. Everyone in the league today seems to have this laissez-faire about possessions. I could shoot an early 3-point shot in the shot clock. I could take a shot without anybody in position that offensive rebounded. You know, certain situations where I'm off rhythm, but I'm just going to hoist it up anyway because I don't know, I got the green light. Just because you have the green light doesn't necessarily mean that you should be running through that. You need to use your brain and value your possessions. Winning teams value possessions. And every time you do something that is ill-advised or out of rhythm, you throw away a possession. So that's what Jason Tatum needs to understand beyond anyone else. Since he has the ultimate green light for the green team, he can't be going 12 for 30 or whatever it was in a Game 5 at home. You know, that you're taking possessions away from other people. You're hurting yourself. Because those bricks are bricks for your team. They're not just bricks for your personal achievement. Those are bricks for everybody, including your coaching staff and everybody, all the fans. They all bricking them shots. So make them count. Make them count. That's all I'm saying. Terrible shot selection all series long from Jason Tatum. All series long. You got to give credit to the defense, obviously, for helping along. You know, pushing him into positions he doesn't want to be there. But ultimately, he's just settling for jump shots and they're not falling. And he's continuing to shoot them. And I think there are other things he could do to help his team. Mainly, look for others. Fall in love with the pass. If you're going 12 for 30, why not shave that down to 12 for 20 and make the rest of those possessions assists? I never understand why guys don't see the production in doing that. The great ones, the ones who really load up, they do. So I just think that's what it comes down to for Jason Tatum. If he's ever going to be a winner, it ain't just about playing defense and scoring baskets. You got to learn how to make yourself useful to the people around you offensively as well. And so he didn't do that tonight. He did not do that at all. And so that's the beginning and the end for the Boston Celtics, to be honest with you. That's where they lost the game. You could talk about plays down the stretch. You could talk about rebounding. Maybe you could talk about how they didn't force enough turnovers or whatever. But at the end of the day, if your superstar with the green light is bricking way more than he's making, then you got a lot of possessions going the other way. And if the team you're going against is also getting second chance points, when they break, that doubles down on your problems. You see what I'm saying? So even if you're shooting 51%, it don't matter. So that is what you saw down there. That's what happened to the Boston Celtics. This is why they're down 3-2. Headed back to Milwaukee, getting ready to get closed out if they don't get their act together. It's a team with a lot of heart. Obviously, you don't expect them to just roll over, but they are going up against the champs. You did shoot 51% from the field and still lost. You know, it's hard to really see them, you know, just rolling into Milwaukee and just pouncing. Like it's you know, it takes a lot to overcome what just happened to them, you know, mentally, to get beat like that in your home court when the entire arena has so much momentum behind it. Got opportunities over and over again to win the game down the stretch, and you can't hold on to the basketball. And see, what did I say in the halftime to you guys? If you watch my little 2-minute halftime report, what did I say? I said as long as the Boston Celtics don't turn the ball over, they're fine, because they aren't winning the rebounding totals, and they aren't particularly stopping anybody. But if they can just find a way to do that, they'll be cool. Well, they didn't. They started turning the ball over. It went from a situation where they only had 2 and they upped it to 10. And I told you what was going to happen if they did that. Exactly what I said was going to happen. They lost. That was the only thing saving them, was the fact that they had not been turning the ball over. Everything else was leaning toward Milwaukee before the score started getting in that direction. So you can kind of just see where things are going. And it's like if you don't find a way to patch them up, you're going to get beat. Something that I can point out is I think Budenholzer handled George Hill very well tonight. I thought that he played him sparingly, and I thought when it made sense to remove him to keep size on the floor, he did that. So I really liked what Budenholzer did with his lineup and just chipping away at the lead, not giving up. You know, well, giving up is the one way of putting it, but not putting yourself in a position to not be prepared down the stretch to succeed. You put the right people on the floor for the situations that came about, is what I'm trying to say. So I just thought that's what it was, man. Now I got to get going. I'm sitting here talking to you guys, but I know they said next game is about to start up, of course, and I'll get back to you guys on that one. But ultimately, this one is a wrap. I was going to say one more thing. I think the Boston Celtics, they're going to have to find a way to overcome the rebounding situation, because that's really something that harmed them tonight bad. You know, the offensive rebounds, 17 offensive rebounds. Besides the Jason Tatum stuff, that's really something that's probably adjustable. You know, if you're Ime Udoka, you feel like you could fix that there. So that's what I want to throw in there. No Grant Williams tonight. That contributed to their problems. Not Grant Williams, but Robert Williams, Time Lord. They need him back. And yeah, you just left one on the board, Boston. I mean, what can I say? You left one on the board, and you let the champs have an opportunity to close you out in their house. You know, I mean, like, that's what it really comes down to. So I'm gonna get going. Check out this other game. Get back to you as I said I would. BDF44. Thank y'all for watching. I'm out.